So I'm not completely done with the He Loves Me Not" series. There's a few other things I want to put in there, but I'm going to do this one, which I'm going to add on to the series. And what I want to talk about is love. So love's a tough one for me because pretty much every time it existed, it was either with a price or it got taken away. Growing up in the household, there was there was a it was a hard time trying to find, love, and I thought I had it with my father, probably up until the time that we left the trailer park in Missouri. That's when I felt it to kind of go away. I also kind of felt like I had it with Jeannie when when I first met her and the kids were small and the abuse hadn't really started yet. And I suppose love is separate from this, but I felt also wanted. And the problem is that it didn't last and it changed quickly. And that'll be kind of the theme running through my life. It as dad started to change and become more abusive, then the only time I felt any love, even though I knew it wasn't even real, was shortly after whatever punishment, that took place. And you never knew how long it was going to last, but it's all that we had. It's all I had. I shouldn't say it's all that we had, it's all that I had. Because as the abuse started in and started to ramp up quite quickly, my stepmother, her love for me also became quite conditional. Conditional in the fact that when either I did something wrong or uh, any of the children, her children, did anything wrong, and there was consequences by dad, then I felt I felt like they could always go to her, those three, and she would, hold and embrace them and tell them it was going to be okay. And I didn't get that. The best I got out of that situation was, "Can I go play?" Yep. That was it. No apology. No, I'm sorry. No, I love you. That's what I got. And it was hard for me, especially as I started taking on the role of protector in the household and started owning up to punishments that weren't really mine, but I did to spare the other three. And I don't know what I was expecting. I don't think I was expecting to be their hero and to be loved for it, but I thought there would be more than there was. It's kind of like it didn't hold any weight at all, really. No value. But that didn't get me to stop doing it. I really embraced the role. It was like the only thing that I could do in those situations. It was the only thing I could control in the situation was to take that role when I didn't deserve it. As it continued on and we moved through the houses, there was kind of an envy more envy than there was before of my siblings, being able to do more things, because you can't take blame for something and it all be forgotten just because you've been able to go outside and play. It was it was in their mind still, and I was that child. I was the bad child, and they were the good child. Every once in a while, especially in the houses in Arizona, I'd get a really small glimpse where I felt that Jeannie, cared about me. And there would be times with my father too. But they both absolutely came with a cost. One of the costs was that they controlled it. I didn't get to control it. I was the recipient, just waiting for it, just desiring it like none other. So I start to live out my image, if you will, the one who always gets in trouble, and started getting more and more in trouble with the law, more and more in trouble with women. And I just really gravitated towards stuff that I could control, that I could manipulate. And unfortunately, without me knowing in the beginning, the techniques that I was using were the same ones I was learning from my father. My father was very good at his techniques, the game, but I took that and I magnified it. Hurt a lot of people along the way, looking for love in really the wrong way. Love wasn't really the object, or at least how I ranked love was more, especially for the women, was, basically the getting to the sexual encounter was like a measure for me. I don't know if it was more of a measure of control or if it was a measure that for them to do that, it must be love. But many times my heart wasn't really in it. Not really. And so I'd burn through women doing the same thing over and over. My illness has always been hard on the relationships in my life. And I totally get that. That's part of the reason why I've learned not to fully attach, to keep one foot out the door. That way I'm still in control. Not believe it 100%, if you will, just partially. And it's something I always measure and I always keep track of, this love. For example, I can tell you in my current marriage that I love my wife. This is not to speak ill of her, but I don't recall a single time this year, 3 months, that she said, I love you, just to her saying it first. And there are more times than I wish that she doesn't say, I love you in return. Those are things you notice when something like that has been so such a mess, in your life, you notice those things and you keep track of them, mental tallies. And it just kind of makes you get prepared for the next, the next goodbye. I remember when I got married, my second marriage, we weren't too far in the dates, and maybe date 3 or 4 or something, whatever you call it. And I shared my mental health with her. And I felt that she too quickly was agreeable and okay with it. And I'm like, no. So I went to my counselor and I got what I'll call the worst video ever, probably 20 years old at that time, VHS tape. And it was only on part of me. It was only showing bipolar. And we watched it together, and it was okay. I don't think it conveyed all of it to the depth that one could convey it. It was definitely a flyover view. But my wife said something interesting in the car the other day as we were driving back, and I was telling her about doing the book or getting the book made on this. And I don't have the exact words, but I think the gist is still the same. Do you think you'll ever go a day without living in the shadow of your condition? I worked my hardest to not have my face and my heart, which should just stop beating, to show outwardly. That says a couple things to me. One, she's tired of it. And if that's what it is, I don't blame her. I'm tired of it. I don't have a choice, and she does. I don't want to share the second reason right now. But I will tell you what I was holding back from saying in that moment. Will we ever go a day without hearing about your work? It doesn't seem like the right thing to say, but in the same way that she feels about that, I feel about the other. But I love her. And I have no problem if she wants to tell me for another 1,000 years. In fact, when she does such, I know that she loves me. Or at least in my mind, that's what it feels like, because she's got me to talk to and listen and bounce things off, to decompress. Like that just seems a natural duty or responsibility when you love someone. But that's pretty much the way my whole life has been. Not having love, detachment issues, or attachment, whatever way. My biological mother didn't help, and she wasn't even that far away in the story, just Iowa. She would say, oh, I think about you every day, on my maybe 2 phone calls that I would get from her a year. Oh, I'm thinking about you every day. And yet she doesn't save up the measly amount of money, $1 a day, to pay for my airline ticket And instead, my father ends up having to pay for my airline ticket to go see her as she smokes her cigarettes. Because to me, she loves him more than me. In fact, I would say to this day, she still loves him more than me. I don't feel like I've ever been first in my mom's life. Not even when there was just one of us, just me. I feel like I was just clung to a hip or in a stroller or bassinet, and it was a duty. When I would come up here to Iowa, visit my mom, I'd come in the summer for, I think it was a month straight is how it was done. In them 30 days, I could probably count to you how many hours that she actually spent with us, with me. In fact, I would be quite accurate if I said about the only time that she came home was to wash her laundry for the salon, wash the towels. And even at that, she'd be hungover, from the night before, reek of cigarettes. And she'd have just enough energy to have the washer and dryer running for the day. Sometimes she'd disappear that night because of a band or her fashion show or whatever the hell other reason she had. And sometimes she'd make it to morning. I always got a kick out of it. She'd go pick up my brother, and I'd already be there because I'm there for the summer and pick up my brother, and he'd be there for the weekend or something, and he saw her more in the car drive than any time that he was there. And the same with me. I don't know what message that's supposed to send to you, but sure as hell doesn't say love. It says obligation. It says because I have to. It's what people think I should do. It's my role. To answer my wife's question, because I'll tell you what I told her. I told her no. I didn't say it mean. It wasn't like, no, get over it. It was, no. Because the research that I've read, the damage has been done. See, if you do any kind of research on the ages that the abuse started, the trauma started, the majority of them show that it's forever. You never shed it. And being this far out in my life, I'd have to say I agree with that. The weight of it is getting lighter every day. But I don't think you could ever unsee what a person's seen. I'm kind of reminded of that because of whatever's going on lately. Maybe it's because of the videos, maybe because of what, I don't know. But I'm very much on edge lately. And to say I get easily startled is an understatement. Many times I leave the mattress if I get startled. We're talking even in sleep. Kind of reminds me of when I was a child and a teenager, feeling that same way. The only difference then, I couldn't say, oh shit, as I got startled or something like that, because you don't dare give him the power of knowing that he had that effect on you. But he did. It was so bad for my little sister, for example, just to bring you up to speed. We had a concrete slab house, 1 floor, concrete slab house, with carpet pad and carpet on top of it. So I'm going to translate that for you. It doesn't make any noise. It doesn't make any noise. The other floors were linoleum on hard concrete. Pretty much no noise. But my sister, as not to wake the beast, if you will, walked on her tippy toes around the house, as not to be noticed, as not to be heard, as not to be disruptive. She still does that to this day. Walks on her tippy toes even though no one's around, and she has no reason to do it. It dawned on me a couple years ago when I picked her up again, tried to rescue her, that I do that, and I didn't even realize I did it. But I started to realize I still do it to this day. I just don't do it as long as her. But like when I get up out of bed and I leave the room, those first 10 steps or something or so are on tiptoes, as not to disturb, not to be seen, not to be a bother, not to make anyone angry, definitely not to set anyone off. Anyway, those are my couple ongoings there with ramblings ons with some talk about love and kind of the issues that form from that upbringing of mine. Thanks for listening. I hope that wherever you guys are, you have a good day. We just got a ton of snow here, but it's full sun. So I wish you the best of days. Bye.